In today's video, I'll be exploring the signs and symptoms of self-destructive borderline personality disorder. It's one of the 4 subtypes of BPD. Let's go. Hey friends, glad to be back today. And today I want to explore self-destructive BPD. I want to explore the signs and symptoms. So if you're suffering with it, or a family member, friend, or spouse, you can understand this particular subtype better. Okay, let's go. The first sign and symptom that I want to talk about is unstable emotions. Pretty self-explanatory. One moment they're feeling good, one moment they're not feeling good. One moment they feel like they're being loved and cherished, the other moment they feel like other people don't care about them, okay? So there's an up and down, almost like a roller coaster type ride of emotions. And obviously we see that throughout BPD, but we see this more so with the self-destructive BPD. The next symptom that I want to bring up that's dedicated to the self-destructive BPD is that they don't care about themselves because they believe that other people don't care about them. So they believe that their entire value is based on the value that other people give them, right? And so they don't care about themselves because they don't even think that they're worthy, because they don't think that they're getting care from other people. And I find this a direct correlation with this subtype. And so that can be very interesting because if they don't feel cared for, they're not going to do anything for their own self-worth, their self-value, and definitely they're not going to do anything for their self-care. Another indication of self-destructive BPD is the lack of identity. They have a lack of identity and they have an unstable self-image because for the most part, their self-worth comes from other people valuing them, right? And they're not sure who they are. And because they have these unstable emotions, it's hard for them to grasp that identity. And usually with the self-destructive BPD, they feel very low and very upset with themselves that it's hard to have any sort of positive identification. But because of many questions and the overwhelming roller coaster of emotions, their self-identity is extremely unstable. The next indication that I find is that the self-destructive BPD has a tendency of constant self-sabotage of their own personal happiness and joy. They feel down about themselves. They don't even feel like they deserve to be happy, okay? And so anytime that they are feeling happy for just a moment in time, they're going to sabotage the experience. They're going to sabotage the interaction. And so if you're experiencing this with a spouse at this moment, and every time y'all have an amazing, let's say, weekend or an amazing dinner out, and everything seems to be going great, and your spouse turns around and it gets very angry and very upset and gets very down about the situation and kind of starts an argument, it's because it's that self-sabotaging because they don't believe that they should feel good. So anything that's bringing them happiness or joy, they're going to shut it down, okay? And it's a cycle. It's a learned response. And that's something that's interesting too, because I think if they were aware of the fact that they feel so low about themselves, that they feel like they don't deserve happiness, and that's the reason why they're doing it, I think maybe they could slow down on that learned response. And so if you're experiencing that with a spouse or a friend, this might be a wake-up call for you, this video, so you can understand where it's coming from and really, for that matter, why they're doing it. Like I was talking about earlier, they have a tendency of lacking self-care, okay, because they don't see the value in taking care of themselves. They don't really see that they're valuable, and they don't see why they would need to take care of themselves, but better yet, they feel bad about the time that they take to self-care because they don't know why they're doing it, because they think that they're wasting time. They could be doing something else. They also exhibit reckless behavior on many different levels, such as substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, sometimes sex, and sex addiction as well can be accounted for. Also suicidal behavior with this particular subtype is very real. And other subtypes you don't see it as much, but particularly this because of also the depression. Okay, self-destructive BPD, they feel a lot of depression more often than not. And that depression, I think, comes from basically internal self-anger and self-hatred because they don't see their value at all. Okay, and because they don't see their value, it's hard for them to allow themselves to be happy because they think that only valuable people deserve to be happy. Okay, and so they are constantly self-sabotaging themselves, putting themselves in relationships with people that belittle them, put them down, make them feel bad. But also, even if they are in a decent relationship with somebody that actually decently cares, they're not going to see it because they're going to sabotage that because they don't feel like they deserve to be happy. So they will ultimately sabotage the relationship based on that self-anger, self-hatred. And the last sign and symptom that I want to cover with the self-destructive BPD today is they have a prone to self-harm. Okay? They do. And I know that a lot of times when you look at the DSM-5 and you see self-harm, a lot of folks who are suffering with BPD do not experience that, have not experienced that. But with the self-destructive BPD, this is right on. So whether they're hurting themselves, cutting themselves, having some suicidal thoughts, suicidal behavior, or putting themselves in dangerous positions, okay, to get hurt. This is definitely a calling card for the self-destructive BPD. And again, it goes back to that unstable self-image, but also it goes back to them feeling that they're not good enough to be living. They don't feel like they should be happy. And that's why, if you are in a relationship with one of these types of people with this subtype of BPD, you can give them all the love, but it seems like they're pushing back from you. Okay, and it can be overwhelming because you're trying to be there, you're trying to lift their spirits, but it doesn't seem like anything's working because they haven't found the value and the anchor within themselves to allow themselves to experience life on a different level. Okay, I hope this video has helped you because we want to get the word out. We want to understand, we want to have knowledge, and BPD is not just one umbrella where everybody fits in it. There's different subtypes. And when we understand these different subtypes, we realize that one person might be more of one subtype or more of two different subtypes together and not maybe one or the other too. And it makes it interesting and also makes us understand why somebody would do what they do, why they act a certain way, why they respond a certain way, and why they see certain things in life a certain way, okay? Once we understand these subtypes, we get a clear understanding of what we're dealing with, whether it's you that's currently suffering with this, or a family member, or a friend, or a spouse, and that's what's so important. We just want to get the word out. And again, I want to stress, any of this stuff can be worked on. I think anybody with BPD can work on this, whether it's with cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectic behavioral therapy. I think that this is something that can be worked on, but the person that's dealing with it must take responsibility and decide that they want to make changes, and to also realize that they're valuable enough to seek therapy, to seek counseling, to seek coaching. And that's one of the keys, especially with the subtype. Okay, they have to be able to see their value, and you can tell them everything you want. You can try to reassure them, but somehow or not, it's got to come from within them. And that's what's so tough a lot of times with this particular subtype getting help, because they just don't feel like they deserve it. I hope this video has helped you, and in the comment section below, add any other signs or symptoms that you think are relevant that I might have left out on this video with regards to the self-destructive BPD. And in the meantime, don't forget to live your true life.